Well, thank you very much, Kerry. Thank you to all of you who are involved with studying at Bard, teaching at Bard, managing Bard, thinking on behalf of Bard. I'm really, truly honored. Berlin has a lot of things, as I will say in a minute, but Bard Berlin is surely one of the jewels, one of the recent jewels in this crown, this urban crown, which has had a long, long history. But I am really honored to be here. So let me say that I am truly delighted to be part of this special day and this wonderful ritual of celebration and passage. Like Kerry, I'm a little terrified because of the eloquence of everyone who has spoken so far to come at this stage in the game, but I have this time. You have to put up with me, even though you've heard much of the most wonderful thinking and speaking that I've been exposed to for a long time. So let me just march on and offer my congratulations to all of you who have gathered many experiences both in and out of the classroom in this remarkable college, in this unique city. Bard Berlin, to me, is part of a remarkable educational universe with its center in New York State and its radiant and radiating spokes reaching out across Europe and the world. When I was 17 years old, and I was once upon a time, just beginning college in Bombay, in India, I was bitten by the American bug and applied to a handful of fantastic American liberal arts colleges. Among them was Bard. This is 1966. Already well known for its mixture of experimentation and rigor, I ended up going to another fine college in the US, but Bard has always been part of my life and work ever since. I studied with Hannah Arendt at the University of Chicago in the early 1970s. I've spoken at the Hannah Arendt Center at Bard not so long ago, and I'm a supporter and follower of the virtual reading group and many other things, and have had the pleasure of meeting Leon Botstein, the remarkable visionary leader of Bard, many times over the last few decades. So Bard Berlin is for me a fabled galaxy, and you are its most recent crop of stars. I know you've all studied different things and are now launching into different paths and ventures for the next phase in your lives. Still, I believe you will always carry with you some things from your Bard experience in Berlin. One is that learning can never be bought, sold, packaged, or bottled into degrees, courses, and jobs. It is an open resource built on the classical skills of reading, writing, listening, and inquiring. The inquiring mind is more than the curious mind. The inquiring mind is disciplined by reading and listening. Its curiosity is trained and learned. The sort of teaching and learning you have enjoyed and participated in at Bard Berlin is also not just a raw experience. You have an education which has showed you how to make your experiences, plural, into experience, singular. At Bard, I'm sure you've begun to practice the great skills of learning to live, and have absorbed the idea that living and learning are two sides of the same coin. You have also learned, I'm sure, what I gained from my own undergraduate experiences, that learning is a collective endeavor. both because one reads books with groups, debates ideas with friends, and exchanges opinions with teachers, but also because one joins a conversation between minds, books, works of art, and music and literature, which bridges continents, centuries, and cultures. You are now a part of this ceaseless conversation. You will never be alone. And you have done all this in Berlin, even if the last year has been truly challenging because of the lockdown and its restrictions. Berlin will leave you with memories of a remarkable place. It is perhaps the most multicultural city in Europe. It is the sole big city in the world to have been physically divided by the Iron Curtain. It has more artworks, historical monuments, archives, and museums devoted to World War II and the Cold War than any other European city, to my knowledge. All this and more have been woven into your BARD experience by your teachers, your visiting lecturers, your field trips, your colleagues, your cohort, and your life experiences here during your studies. And these amazing assets will be your biggest strengths in facing the challenges of the world we live in today, on which a few words now. The principal challenge we face today is that our problems are primarily planetary: climate, migration, inequality, to take three big ones. And our solutions are mostly defined by nation states. That is because our fundamental design for governance is still Westphalian. Its architecture places sovereignty, territoriality, and citizenship in the same envelope and insists that only such envelopes are legitimate actors in negotiating global peace and sustainability. How can we help to find other designs for citizenship and coordinated planetary action? One strategy is to rethink our current emphasis on rights, an idea which was a giant step for humanity in the 19th century and still until today. But it may have outlived its exclusivity as a criterion for human development in a planetary age. We need a complementary idea of, word that came up here today already in what Kerry said, aspirations, as a basis for global citizenship and planetary governance. Rights are concerned with minimum standards of well-being for humanity, whether in matters of dignity, property, or prosperity. Aspirations expand this minimal idea and highlight the future, our hopes, expectations, and plans, which all human beings have and all should be entitled to have. Rights without aspirations can become uniform and legalistic. Aspirations can be expansive and culturally diverse. Aspirations always involve greater recognition, increased security, better opportunities, and superior protections compared to what any society or person enjoys at the present. A second strategy, in other words, for addressing global problems in a new way, is to rethink the idea of the social contract, which emerged in the modern liberal West as a countervailing idea to the monopoly of sovereignty by kings and nobles. The people exchanged freedom for peace in the original idea of the Hobbesian social contract. In later variations of the idea of the social contract, the people themselves came to be defined as a source of legitimate power, and the social contract evolved, at least in theory, into a way of making basic agreements between equals about safety, property, and life itself. Yet, even these liberal and democratic ideas of the contract remain fundamentally yoked to the boundaries and interests of the nation state and stops abruptly at its boundaries, after which predation, realpolitik, and sheer force tend to take over. So I urge you, among the many things you've been urged to do, to revisit the ideas of the great French anthropologist Marcel Mauss, who realized that the modern contract has its roots in the ancient and broadly global idea of the gift. Mauss's governing idea was through the giving and receiving of gifts, whole social groups created long-term bonds beyond the limits of profit and interest and widened the net of the social and the human. For the planetary world in which we live today, we need to bring back this idea of reciprocity, gift, and solidarity to redefine the social in our social contract and to redefine the sense of contract to go beyond law and rights to ethics and the planetary good. This new social contract would need to make a bold shift from the paradigm of the market to the paradigm of the planet. Our current framework, both normative and practical, of rights, duties, and claims, is almost entirely related to and dependent on the emergence of the modern industrial economy, its corporate agents and institutions, and the competitive modern nation state as the ally of such market-defined ideas of property, identity, and obligation. Shift to the planet, capital P, as our new paradigm for the social contract would mean building it on very different ideals, primarily those of collectivity, sustainability, and cooperation. Each of these three terms is old and has often been used loosely to promote and sometimes disguise market values. These terms need to be revitalized and remobilized in a new social contract which promotes the interlinked virtues of generosity, trust, and nonviolence between individuals, communities, and states. These suggestions can be part of what you consider as you enter the next phase of your lives. It is a rough time to be young, but it is also the best time to be bringing your best energies to the global problems I have briefly outlined. These problems need your imagination, your vision, your grit, and your compassion. You are the building blocks of a new set of foundations for our world. You have learned from and debated with remarkable friends and teachers. You are ready to fly high. Take this world with you and do not let it succumb to its many problems. Thank you very much.